Okay. And if there aren't any questions, everybody's episode queued up on Amazon?
Yep, yep, yep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Ready to go.
Okay. Okay. As John would say, on the count of 3, we'll start episodes together. 1, 2, 3.
And the timer has been started.
Why does she need to know? Why does she need to know that? What's important? What's so important for her to need to know whether somebody else loves comedy?
I think she, as a housewife, she's never really had a job or a calling, and she doesn't necessarily see it as a job yet, but I think she just wants to know if it's worth it.
I think this is an ASP thing. She wrote in why she loves comedy.
That's actually a better answer.
Yeah. Plus, isn't it also kind of exposition? I mean, without getting into any spoilers, just saying it's kind of introducing her to that character in their relationship.
And I think most people who go into any kind of arts, not most people, but a lot of people would want to know, like, does it balance? Do you love it? Is it worth the fact that it's not a traditional method of working?
Plus, she's debating on if she wants to actually, be a comedian.
Right, and she's about to put a lot of her life aside in order to try to make this happen for her.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to return to this discussion afterwards. I didn't hear that. I was focused on I didn't realize that they were gonna go right into the same scene.
Yeah, it goes right into the episode.
I'll return to this afterwards because I still have questions about it.
You guys also may need to watch that recap because that's actually going to help you with the password.
There wasn't really a recap, was there? I mean, all it was we just heard her in over Black. We heard the drunken comedy routine or a bit of it, the tits part, and then suddenly we just got the very end of that Lenny Bruce scene. Was there more that my mind cut
That's
off?
all I had too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
me
all
too.
that's all it is. It just basically
Oh,
continued the end of
oh,
showing you
okay,
the
okay,
end of.
okay, great.
It reminds me of the end of the end of Emily and Richard's vow renewal, how it goes right into the next episode.
So she's just not doing Yom Kippur, I guess.
Well, too late after she opened that
There are
bottle of wine.
different ways to observe.
That's true.
Any chance I can get a timestamp? My battery in my remote died just as I was about to. And it's all wonky on the Remarkist app again.
3 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that the new way we see the time? It's counting backwards for me.
It's because somebody in a different time zone ended up starting the timer versus the person who actually set the time of the episode.
So
Yeah,
like
Nancy's in a different time zone.
It can be fixed very easily by just Cindy pausing it and then starting it again.
I'll do that.
Don't stop it.
Thank
Just pause it and then press play again.
I didn't realize that was an issue.
Yeah, it's just if there's not one thing and then there's another thing.
It didn't give me the option to pause it. It gave me the option to play. It wasn't even running for me.
You have to
Oh,
hit that refresh. Oh wait, that's just.
Do you want me to pause it?
oh, it should be fine if she just presses play. I think it should be fine.
Considering the flashbacks we saw of these two in episode 1, I'm shocked that he's shocked.
Amy likes her diners.
I love diners. I love going to diners.
By the way, that was really cool. That was really smart editing, you know,
Yeah.
because she went into the bathroom, then they cut back to him, and we, you know, so we're not thinking we're still thinking it's all the same scene, but actually when they cut back to him, she was in a different costume waiting off camera so that they could then just pan over to her.
I know you
So,
normally don't like flashbacks, but are you okay with this one? It
yeah,
seems like
no,
you
this is a really good flashback. This is a
This
really
is,
good. This is a
and
really. I,
it's technically beautiful.
yeah, it's a really really exactly a very technically beautiful flashback, and I love that kind of really clever camera work.
I love it, Imogene.
Yeah, that's the actress from Bunheads and A Year in the Life.
Oh my gosh, I could not even tell.
She was the 30-something gang, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love this exercise routine.
This scene is so good.
This is good.
Nowadays it would be yoga instead that they're doing this.
Yeah, I
Or
thought that there was going to
Pilates.
be some yoga, and I was like, I was gonna, I was ready to critique, but no.
There's can't
What is
spoil.
this?
Calisthenics.
What
I would call that
what is it?
calisthenics is probably
This
what
is
this would have been
calisthenics.
called. Yeah, they
How
would have been
old?
called that back then.
Oh my goodness.
What was the
Yeah,
movie about Kellogg's that had
she Amy
that
Sherman Amy Sherman Palladino has that thing where she like creates a little team of people that are referenced, right? Like the divorcees are not that different from the 30 something club, right?
Yeah, I
Yep,
was
I
Yeah.
about
would.
to mention that. And I'm like, I can't spoil
Yeah.
yet 'cause I'm not there yet.
Road to Wellville.
Yeah. But no, true though. It's like those people that you don't want to be.
The outcasts.
It's the cautionary tale.
Yeah, Julie, it reminds me of that movie.
Which
Shelly, were you
movie?
saying?
You think about how
Shelly,
many times they had to do this in order to film these different angles.
Oh,
Shelly,
I just said the weird workout routine reminds me of that Kellogg's movie, and Julie said it's the road to Wellsville. I couldn't remember what it was called.
Also, can we just like props to Bailey for all of that insane work that she just did? Like that monologue was insane.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been
While doing the cal.
So
I
speaking
wouldn't
of
have been able to finish
background,
that
look
scene
at
if I
this.
was
This
in that. And
this street scene is my favorite scene I think in the whole series.
Well, I will tell you since we're about to meet him, Joel's father reminds me so much of one of my mother's first cousin's first husband. Okay, I'm just saying there are real people like this.
Absolutely.
I don't know why, but in the first episode, I really got the impression that Joel was not going to be a long-term player. I thought we kind of met him to set up Midge's story. So I'm actually kind of shocked to see him again. I did not think we would see him again.
He's so good. I mean, in that first episode, we talked a lot about his character, which I think is a testament um, to how great this actor is in that role. He plays that character really, really well. I wouldn't want to lose it. Like if I wrote in a character like that and the actor was that good, I certainly wouldn't want to lose the character.
Diana, would this area be down in like the 30s, the mid 30s?
Yeah,
The streets, I mean.
that was actually it looks like that was actually filmed like actually in the West 30s for sure. It looks exactly like that.
We stayed in a hotel down in that area, and that's why I was asking, because I'm like, it looks a lot like the area we stayed.
Yeah, it's the garment
They had a lot of
district.
fashion in that
It's still
area.
the garment district.
Oh yeah. And if you go down 6th or 7th Avenue in the 30s, you got like the garment district, the hat district, the flower district.
Yeah, we stayed there, and it was really fun to walk by all the windows.
I love it.
We lost Sabrina.
No.
I
Shalhoub.
get I get excited when they go to Colombia. It's so beautiful.
I get excited when they go to Shalhoub.
This
Oh, this is exciting. This is cool.
and this lecture hall is used in a ton of TV and movies. It's really cool.
Diana, did you go to Columbia or NYU?
Both.
Ooh.
I had a very downtown life and then a very uptown life, so I kind of feel like this show is my show.
Oh, no, absolutely. My late father was a professor at Columbia, not full time, but not math either. But yep. But we lived in the West Village, so yes, my show.
Oh, awesome. I love that.
This is funny.
I feel like Shalhoub should actually be a professor.
Oh yeah.
Just the aesthetics of this scene is giving real Dead Poet Society.
Or Beautiful
Aw.
Mind, John Nash.
Rest in peace, Robin Williams.
What's the other one? Good Will Hunting. Where did that take place at?
Oh, that was MIT.
MIT. That's right.
Yeah, MIT Boston.
Welcome back, Sabrina.
Yeah, I didn't realize that my social media thing, the timer shuts off social media. I didn't realize that Clubhouse was off. I'm like, everyone's really quiet.
Sabrina, did you go to Columbia or NYU?
This scene is
Nope.
awesome.
Write that down.
I went to Tufts.
Oh, cool. He's great in this show, John.
I love the mom.
Ugh, I love her so
I
much.
think
She looks amazing.
the casting of the show is just fantastic. I mean, they're all great. I wasn't disappointed in anyone. Let's put it that way.
Do you remember a show called Once and Again?
Yes.
Sister, so it's funny to see now. I mean, it is years later, but her as a mom.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you just unlocked a memory for me. Such a good show.
It's a fortune teller.
Yeah, I love that Midge is like sort of hiding her downtown adventures, yet her mother is going to a fortune teller. It's amazing.
It's very Mrs. Kim and Lane.
Yes.
God, I love that line.
The
Did you say
color.
Too much
no?
bread.
Yeah, too much bread. That's what I was asking.
I really love the color, the set design, the cinematography. It's so it's delicious. It's like so wonderful to look at this show.
I agree with that. Those of you that live in New York, is this building that they use like an actual building that people currently live in, or was it one that was not being used?
I think all the interiors are on a set in like in Astoria.
Silvercup
But what
Studios, isn't that where they film all that stuff?
There's a bunch of stuff there.
Okay.
I was just wondering because that entryway looked real.
The entryways look incredibly real. So whether those some of these Upper West Side buildings absolutely do look like that for sure.
Those doors are so big.
This doesn't look like it would be a set. I don't know. I mean, this is pretty impressive
It
if
has
it is.
ceilings. You can see the
I
ceilings
mean,
in
you
this
can
one.
see the
That's why I was.
you can actually see the ceilings. That's very important. That was good. That was good, Chris. And this is yeah.
That's why I assumed it
Uh,
was a real building that maybe they
yeah.
used that was not being used by somebody else at the time, or empty apartments.
I just looked it up. It's actually in Morningside Heights, right by Columbia. It's on Riverside Drive.
Yeah, I was convinced that that's real because that doesn't look like a set. And the biggest thing is actually what Chris pointed out, that you can see ceilings. That's extremely important because a set, they wouldn't have the ceilings so that they
Yeah.
can do all kinds of magic from above.
Did you hear her say, "Why are his hands sticky?" It just made me think of Luke and the
I
jam
Oh,
was
it's
hands.
just
totally
gonna say that.
recycled. Yeah.
Kids, right?
In Amy's world, all little kids have jam hands.
It's true though. They are always sticky.
I love I love this whole interaction, the moving around, all that.
I think it's amazing how they shoot these scenes where they're having these long discussions.
She didn't really stop talking the whole time.
And
I mean,
complaining about the kids.
yeah, she's like, "Where are we? We Versailles," and then they go downstairs, and she has another comment about the next place, and it's just it feels so natural.
And Midge is always the perfect host too.
Those little cakes are so cute. I'm gonna make them.
They're cute.
I still have a commode end table.
That end table, I had one just like it when, ironically, I lived down the street from this apartment.
I have my parents. It's not as fancy as that one.
Oh yeah, no, mine wasn't either, but I think it came from my friend's parents.
Yeah, my mom had those too. I mean, it didn't look just like that, but I mean, it was definitely not that fancy.
My grandmother would have died if somebody put the cake on the couch.
Or snooping through the drawers.
I love that little TV. It's so cute.
Jam hands.
Midge is acting like her mother. She was continuously talking to the fortune teller too.
It's like she's trying to convince herself, you know.
Sweets on the fabric.
This is when you break out the little, I mean, they don't have it back then, but now those little portable vacuum cleaners.
Exactly, the daredevils.
She takes a brand new bundt cape, but she doesn't take the one that she just left on the couch.
Of course, she needs a fresh cake.
Yeah, of course.
Who
She
wants
was
that Lindy cake?
slighted.
Oh, that looks delicious. I
Look what
love
happened.
roast.
At least the Weissmans keep the same maid, right?
Check it out, speakerphone.
That's so cool.
Is he like an inventor or something?
It's an early speakerphone.
But maybe, no spoilers. He is very smart, being that he's a mathematician.
Ericsson invented the first speakerphones in the 1930s.
I love how she says, I'm going to call her now when the mother just said she would speak to her.
And of course,
Now
this
it's
was
a
before
race,
call waiting, so she had to call her first, right?
right? Who
She's
can dial
only
fast?
she's only like down the hall or whatever,
Yeah,
isn't
she's
she?
she's downstairs, like, or she's down or upstairs a floor.
She tried to save her and couldn't. Like, don't answer the phone.
Is the layout of their apartments the same?
They kind of look the same, but
Because
Miriam's
if
is
that's
much
the
more
case, then I
modern.
would say that it's the same apartment. They just redid the look of it. Maybe.
Or it's big enough that they could dress half of it for one apartment and half of it for the other.
Right.
Because it is probably big enough.
I think the layout is the same, and I think that we're made to believe that they are directly one on top of the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love
That
her
was
pink Corning.
Oh yeah. That was the conversation though in the beginning at the diner with her and Joel was about like living here versus down.
She's making her. She's like, wear your sexy red dress.
Her lucky dress. Hmm?
A book about etiquette.
I noticed she's still wearing her rings.
It's only been 24 hours, hasn't it?
In that scene, she doesn't have them anymore, but in the other scene, she did.
She's like, why should I put makeup on?
Very different than the night before or that other night.
I remember my grandmother did all of that stuff, like a white face at night, like curlers in her hair at night.
Mine did too. My grandmother did, but not my grandma, because I had a grandmother and a grandma. One was much more formal than the other.
No, my grandma, that my grandma was my grandma, but yeah.
John,
My
what do you
grandma
think of the new secretary?
my grandma did the rollers and then the scarf so she could like go grocery shopping, you know.
These ladies and their rollers. I still love Pond's cold cream. It's a little old fashioned, but it's still nice.
If it works, right?
Don't you love how they just changed the secretary all of a sudden?
I love that.
This is mimicking the scene that we just had with the girls. Obviously, she wasn't mad at her mom, but you know, he didn't take him long to come over here to talk to his father.
I love that line. Penny Pan. I thought that was a stupid name, but I was right.
Well, Amy doesn't like pennies for some
Yeah,
reason.
I was gonna say Penny is a really that's a name. Oh, have they done that before with like the title?
No.
I don't think
Like,
so.
interesting. I don't know how I feel about it.
She's wearing that red dress.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's got the red dress.
It wasn't the most sophisticated of cards.
That dress is stunning.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love that dress. The costumes in here are amazing.
She always looks amazing, doesn't she?
Oh, she does, but there's something so beautiful about this color and the style.
Just the cut. I love the cut, the shoulders.
Yeah, it's like it's very like classy but also very sexy at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just cool. It's like it's low in the front but very high in the back, which is cool.
This is giving me flashbacks of a certain MUA no parent meeting.
Oh, you mean when they had Rory meet her other grandparents?
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's also really fun to see the two couples, the two
Yeah,
sets of
how
parents,
different they
and
are.
how
I was
exactly how
thinking that.
different they are, and the yeah.
Hers are much more formal, kind of
I think they
prim and
consider
proper.
themselves more sophisticated.
What else has Joel's father been in? The actor who plays Joel's
That's
father.
Kevin
A million
Pollak.
Many
He's been
things.
things.
in everything.
He's so good. I'm trying to remember like what's the big thing that I know him from.
Well, he was in. I know he was in Casino. He played the partner, one of the partners.
He's just one of those actors who's just been just a
Kevin
veteran
Pollak.
of the industry and just been in a ton of stuff, but never really like a big feature main role.
It was Kevin Pollak who played Mr. Maisel, and he's been in a ton of things.
Well, he's
A
been
few,
in A Few
uh,
Good Men,
yeah, I was gonna say the unusual suspect.
He was
Grumpy
also in
Old Men.
Grumpy Old Man, and he was in Mom too, which is
This scene.
He was
I
in Willow,
love
John. Maybe you're thinking of him from Willow.
I love Tony Shalhoub
Oh
so
my gosh,
much.
Willow. I mean, this is so good. This is so good.
So funny.
I love it. I just love it. The crossed
And
legs, the looking over, then the looking back. And
The old Tupperware. Oof.
this show really makes me want to live on the East Coast.
wait, did you
The
catch that?
mother.
She said, "Did you have any matzo meal? That's okay. I have some in my purse." That's so classic.
Yes.
I was wondering how she was gonna suddenly make like a batch of soup. I was like, does she have 7 hours?
Yeah, she
So
she
Oh,
John,
I
snuck it
love,
in the freezer. She
I
snuck it in
love
the
it.
freezer, I guess.
Kevin Pollak has like over 150 acting credits, and the majority of them are movies. So he's been in a lot of stuff you've seen.
Tony Shalhoub is just the best.
I know you guys mentioned it before, but I also loved him in Monk, the series.
One of the things people say a lot about him in this series is that his delivery sounds like music, and I can't unhear that.
It's true though. The way, now that you say that, now that's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna
like
hear.
he's in a
I've not
musical.
seen Monk.
He's in a musical.
How dare he say that to her? Get away from her. Get away from her.
Lee is anti Joel now.
I haven't recovered. In the first 5 minutes of the first episode, I thought he was quite sweet, and I feel betrayed ever since.
I think that was the idea. We're supposed to feel that way.
God damn you, Amy, you tricked us all.
She's acting like Lorelai did with Chris. You're always welcome to visit Rory.
She's a good mom though, in that she wants her kids to know their father.
There's barely any soup in that dish. Giving Strobe vibes, guys.
Oh, he was giving Strobe vibes from the moment the scene started.
For real.
The nerve, like her mom's nerves are just like a
Shot.
character of their own.
He's being like Emily now in that scene where
There is Oompa Loompas.
I love that. Just
is
It's
that what
interesting.
Jewish
She
father says?
gave Susie money and now he gave her money.
yeah, but that's how a Jewish father
That's
shows
just
his
what they
love
do. I
for
was
his
gonna
daughter.
say. I think that's just yeah.
That's his way of trying to support her, I guess.
I think she's having a feeling about like taking it from him and maybe remembering how she gave it to Susie too. Like maybe how that made Susie feel.
Saying like, he's paralleling him with Chris and Logan here.
I continue to go further to the anti-Joel side.
I don't blame you, Lee.
I'm gonna need clarity about all of that in the post show.
The very short of it is, Joel didn't own
Agreed, though.
anything. His father did.
I need
That's
more
his
on
dad.
that. We'll talk about it in the post.
I love that we were Spokane last and now we're in Wichita.
Oh, well, that was a whole lot of privilege right there.
There you get the title of the show, her line that she just said as an opening line.
I I really hope that he's in more episodes because I want to reach out to this actor to ask him to be a guest with us.
The police officer?
Yes.
I love that.
Oh my gosh, phenomenal. Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I want to watch the next episode.
Oh wow. Yeah. Whew. Good stuff. Good stuff.
We can go ahead and open up the couch now if anybody wants to come up for the
Yep.
post.
Poor
Opening up the
Wichita
show.
woman didn't get to finish her Wichita story like she did the last one.
The couch is open. If you would like to join us up here, please raise your hand and we will bring you up. Okay, so clarify. I completely got that their apartment was not actually, was basically being paid for um by his father. What didn't make sense is their parents' apartment seemed to also be paid for by his father because he
No,
said, "Get out of my house,"
Mm-mm.
and he
no,
said,
I can't
No,
can't. No
No.
spoilers,
they were
but
in
no,
her house.
we'll find out
They were
Yeah,
in
they
the
where
were at
his apartment comes from.
Yeah, that's
"Oh,
why the
they
Adrian's
were in,
apartment.
Okay, I thought that
Midge
they
and
were
Joel's
in.
house. Yeah.
I thought, okay, I thought that they were actually in the parents' house
No.
above, because that's the suggestion that we had, was that they're on two different floors, but basically in the same building. So okay, got it. So okay, so Midge is now losing this house, so she's likely going to now have to move in with her parents, who are on the floor above. That's my guess.
You want to put some kernels on it?
I feel pretty confident that seems to be that's. I mean, I would put kernels on that one. That seems very obvious.
Well, not only has she lost the house, but she now realizes there's no reserves. She has
Right.
there's nothing.
Nothing for her kids.
Probably something you could hope for in that situation, in her situation, not working outside the home in 1950s, that if she was left, that she would be getting some sort of support from Joel. But now she
Right.
finds out that that's not going to really be possible.
Yeah, it's not actually. Yeah, it's not actually possible. He doesn't even have anything. He wouldn't be able to. He wouldn't be able to. To. Well, I mean, he would. He would be. He would be forced by the state to pay alimony and child support. It just would have to come out of his wages. Right.
Right. And I think also she's really never, I mean, we don't know a whole lot of backstory of her, of their life, let's say 10 years ago, really, but it doesn't seem to me like she's really ever wanted for money at all.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's true.
I think you can
probably
tell
since
that
her
from her
father was a
parents.
professor.
Yeah, I mean, they sent her to school to meet a man. She was always taken care of by her parents, I think.
Yeah, that's why I sense that that's going to be the dynamic, at least for the time being. She's going to have to then move in with her parents, and the kids are going to have to move in with them. They're going to just all sort of squeeze into that apartment above, which is a big apartment. So um yeah, and then I guess I guess this will be, the question is whether or not she can get some sort of success on her own as a comedian that will allow her to to support her, to support herself and her children without leaning on her parents, well, on her father, really,
Or her mom.
or her mom. Yeah.
You don't know.
Well, I mean, right, but her father's money.
It could be her mother's money too. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
No spoiler.
No spoilers.
Now I've clearly been spoiled. So
No,
her
I'm
mom
just
has
But
money.
challenging your
have
gendered
you?
assumptions.
Yeah, you may not
Well, I
have been
mean,
spoiled.
it's the world that we've been presented. This world, everything that we've seen so far has sort of suggested that. So it is an assumption, um, but he does work at a prestigious university as a professor. We haven't seen her mother work,
But
and
we
there
do know
was
that her mother was sent to Paris by her mother when she was
uh,
younger.
So it could be like an
So
Emily
she told
Gilmore
that to the fortune teller.
situation.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't
yeah.
know. Someone gets beheaded. We're just gonna make up wild spoilers that don't exist and see what you go for.
yeah. When
Who
she was
got
talking to
who
No,
got beheaded?
I think it was Brian Fuller's father was one of the garment workers, and there was a horrible accident, and
wait, so Brian is really old, is
I
what
didn't
you're saying? If he was
I didn't
born in
get the part.
50.
Where did they talk about her mother going to Paris?
When she was talking to the fortune teller, and she tells the fortune
Oh,
teller, "My mother sent me to Paris," and she said that they didn't send Midge to Paris, and the fortune teller says something like that it would have been a bad idea or dangerous for her, or something like that.
ooh.
It's just a
Well,
little
maybe her mom
passing
does.
comment.
Maybe she comes from a very wealthy family. That's interesting.
I would
That would be
say
very interesting.
she's definitely from a family where manners, good manners, and
posture and the way you speak and everything matters because the way her
But
mother is.
if she answer this for me though, for those who would know the answer to this, let's say she is from a family of a lot of wealth, would that wealth transfer over into their family, or would he be expected to be the breadwinner? I mean, that's the dynamic of Joel and Midge. Is that even though we have the sense that Midge comes from a family that is, or that her parents are somewhat wealthy, right? That she's now lost everything because even though they have money, they weren't giving her any. They were relying on her getting that from her husband. So if Midge's mother was very, very wealthy, which being sent to Paris kind of does suggest that, actually, would that transfer over?
I
Well,
think
maybe it was
so
left to her.
because
A trust.
yeah,
It would be
Yeah.
in the form of a trust. She's only 26, and right?
Sorry about that.
Aren't they only 20? Aren't they only 26 or in their late 20s?
Yeah,
They're
but
not 30.
yeah.
we're talking about
But
the
Oh
Midge's
no,
mother's.
mother's
I'm talking about
family.
Yes,
Midge's mom, who right now, by the way,
So
is just Midge's mom. What is her character's name? Because
Rose.
Rose.
every time we talk about her, it's like I love the mother. The mother.
Rose.
The
Does the
mother.
mother have a name yet?
Her name is Rose.
Rose
Rose
I
Wiseman.
think
Rose.
Rose's
yes.
family might have left her some money, and so it could
I
be
was
her
just going to
money.
say, it depends on how old the money is, I would
and
say.
her access to it. Like it depends on, she is a woman, so she might not have access to family money.
I was going to say that it is even in like Western, like traditional old money Western cultures, there's still the idea of a woman coming to a marriage with like a dowry of some sort. So maybe she was given some amount of money. I don't know. I'm not answering this. Like, I have watched the show. I'm not answering this with any like knowledge or like memory of what the situation was, but I think it would make sense that maybe she came to the marriage with some amount of money that she has. I don't know.
Well, like my family had a situation where a family member passed away, and each of his children, two daughters, one son, they all were given money that was put aside for them, basically like an inheritance that they got on his death. And it's just that could have happened with Rose's family. They might have had money that the children didn't get till the parent died. So she might have money, whether she gave it to her husband to use how he wants or she has it of her own. We don't know, but it is possible. That is something that people did. Still, kind of like Downton Abbey, where things pass along a certain way, and he married a woman for money, and her money
Haven't
went to
wa-
him.
have
That still could have been happening. Oh, sorry, John. That's
have
just a
not
time
have
period.
not watched
Talking about
Downton
the
Abbey. Have not
I'm just
watched
talking
it.
about the I'm just talking about the time. It's something you learn very early on, but I'm just talking about the time period that these kind of things could have still been happening in the early 1900s. And Rose, I mean, this is the 1950s, but this would have been like what, the 30s when Rose would have gotten married. So it's still possible that that kind of stuff was passed along that way, or maybe she got an inheritance. I don't think I remember if there was any of that in this show, but I have a feeling that my opinion is she comes from a family of wealth herself. And she married an intellectual man who knows how to take care of money, obviously.
Yeah, cool. I hadn't thought about it. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, and I mean, Midge is, I guess, also from money. I suppose some degree of money, and I would imagine that she probably would have some kind of inheritance from her parents if they passed away, and um, yeah,
Well, and
makes
that's what
sense.
some of these guys were saying. She might have a trust that
Yeah,
she hasn't accessed yet,
right.
which sometimes those trusts they don't access until the parent dies, and sometimes it's when they get to a certain age. I think it depends on how they're set up. I don't know. That's
But
just my opinion.
Miriam doesn't strike me as somebody who wants that. I think that she's I think she wants to. I feel like she wants to find her own way now.
I also think, though, that when your access to it has never really been in jeopardy at all, that and somebody just pointed out, like, it's only been 24 hours since all of this
Right.
happened, so she probably hasn't really wrapped her brain around it. But I think something about her her bursting into tears when her father hands her that, that small amount of that whatever
Mm-hmm.
bill he pulled out. I'm almost getting emotional now, because there's something about how how powerless they both feel. They both are really powerless in this situation. She's powerless because of really not knowing where to go. I mean, she said it at the beginning of the episode. I don't know what to do. I don't, and or I don't know what to do now. Whatever she said to Lenny Bruce. But I also think that Abe feels incredibly powerless, and he's feels like he's always done something right, but um, or always done everything right, and things were going really well for her, and then this happens, and it just shakes their whole world up. And what can he do? He can give her, money out of his wallet.
Oh,
I
Yeah.
feel like his. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna just interrupt and say that you guys can harvest.
I feel that Abe's more concerned about the fact that she was left by her husband and what that will look like for her and for their family, more than her comfort or security. Like, I don't know. That's just kind of the impression I get, because they're very about image in a way on how things look, not just to the rabbi, but to people in general. But I
Who? Midge?
Midge's family, her parents.
Midge's
Yeah,
family. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I
He wanted
agree.
her to go and get her husband back. Before anybody knew that her husband left her for a secretary, he wanted her to put on her face and put on a dress and go get her
Right.
husband
Right.
back.
But
Well, you also
Midge doesn't seem to be as concerned with that kind of stuff. Well, I guess maybe a bit.
she she
She's
she showed that in the exercise though club when Imogene was like, "You're going to be part of the divorcee club."
right. Yeah, I think that it's probably the, what Curry said about how it's 24 hours. I think she's still processing it. I think that that she's trying to get a bearing on how she feels versus I'm interpreting it as how she feels, who she really is, what she really wants, um, which she may now, for the very first time, actually she's actually getting in touch with, right? Because up until now, she hasn't really needed to ask those questions about herself. Um, that sort of the conflict between that with what she's starting to realize she wants versus what society has told her she's supposed to want and she's supposed to be focused on. Yeah, 24 hours, not a lot, not long enough time for any of that dust to have settled. But we are seeing through all of that, we are seeing what she wants, right? Like I think that it's very very clear that even if the character hasn't completely understood all of this yet, that we are understanding it sort of before she is, or we're starting to see, like, this is who you are, Midge. This is who you need to be. This is what you need to go after.
Well, and she says in the beginning, in the diner scene, like, you know, perfect apartment, perfect husband, perfect life. And I think, Joel leaving is bad enough, but to learn that everything he is not what she thought. is, I think, even worse. It makes her feel even stupider, like that she didn't even know that, the depth of the kind of deception that she's been under for the past few years, with this person that she not only married because he was probably a quote unquote good match for her, but also like, on paper with their families and all of that, but also that she really loved, like they had such a great time together, and it wasn't an arranged marriage. It was, it wasn't just for society. It like, it was, they actually were friends and a really good love story, like for the both of them. So I feel like she's feeling not only that her life is over the way that she knew it, but that he is not the person she thought he was at all.
And I think also that supporting him was her raison d'etre. Like it the making the food to con the gaslight into giving him a good spot, and taking copious notes, and you know trying to improve his comedy because that's what he wanted, so that's what she wanted. And all of that has been, what the mother Maisel said about the tablecloth being ripped away. That's sort of what happened to Midge too. You know it all got taken away in one gigantic, well, actually in kind of two steps, because first the marriage dissolving, but then also the financial aspect and the house, like
If you pull the tablecloth fast enough, though, you can get it off the table without moving any of the stuff. I've seen it done before. That was just that
I
was
was
just
gonna say,
joking.
I feel like there's some kind of metaphor in there.
I don't know, maybe I hope that wasn't a spoiler.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness, does that happen?
No, wait, no, I'm sorry.
I was
That would
trying
be
to be
watching
funny, but
every
maybe
tablecloth.
I was trying to be funny, but maybe I was very insightful with that bit of I don't know. It's very possible that something will come back to prove or to show that the pulling the tablecloth and leaving everything there is the deep the one of the deeper themes of the series.
Do you guys want to continue, or do you guys want to move on to like the exercise class, or that whole interaction?
I love that exercise class scene.
I want to just say in general how I think one of the things that I think that I love so much about the show just 2 episodes in is I didn't realize how much I personally miss uh, so my grandparents my mom was born and raised in New Jersey, and so I spent all of my childhood, like summers were always spent um, with my grandparents, and that this whole world reminds me of that. Like I can smell their apartment. I can really smell all of these environments as if I'm transported back to my childhood, with my grandparents and my mother's family and where they lived. It just like I can see the paint. I can I can see the dirt in the or the
New
like
Jersey
the
is a
the dust.
magical place.
It's really it's like they do such a good job of this world because, well, I mean, because they're shooting in this world, like it's actually the real place, and a lot of this stuff really still exists, and the of course all of it still exists, but it's still a lot of it still exists in the same form, right? Like with a lot of the same paint and a lot of the same stuff still there even after all of these years, and so I just am realizing how much I miss that Northeast world that I remember as a kid spending so much time in.
I want to ask Diana. You mentioned that scene where he's walking down the street to go to his dad's factory. What is it that you love so much about that scene, and why is it your favorite?
It's my favorite because it's like all of those dresses on racks, and it's the way it's shot feels like a musical to me. Like it sort of weaves in and out, and the choreography of it all is so stunning and beautiful. And to know that it's like they actually shut down a real street to make it look so authentic, and then and made all of those dresses, you know, all those copies to make it look like a real factory that's churning out fashion. It's like, I don't know, just everything about it looks so expensive and well thought out and movie musical to me. Like I would love to see that scene on a really big screen. You know, like I would go to the movie theater for that scene. It's just so beautiful. And
You
it's
could
also
Yeah,
just like they put so much thought into it.
you could just
the
totally imagine
details.
that scene, that same scene shot, and the camera moving around Joel, and he starts to snap and starts to like skip a little.
Or like, yeah, he breaks into song or something.
Yeah,
We're
no,
we're
I mean just like kind of a subtle snapping,
Like
you
a
know,
West
as
Side
he's kind of
Story.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
Yeah,
is he a shark or
exactly.
a jet?
I can
we're
see
gonna
Mrs. Maisel
see.
being a Broadway show.
We should
I
turn
would.
it into
Oh
Maisel
my
the
God.
musical. Maisical.
That would be some
Musical.
serious world.
Musical.
Musical.
Maisel,
That would be some serious world building.
the
We
And
should
I
put
actually
that
wouldn't.
on.
I wouldn't put it past Amy. I would not put it past Amy to like one day in the future do a deal to have a Maisel musical.
Well, we had a Stars Hollow musical, so I feel like
working
it's
on building, working on
100%
building,
like what she would do.
I
working
really
on
like the
building the
way
garment district.
I really like the way the camera moves, the way they do these shots in these different scenes, which is why I had asked if you knew what buildings they were using, because I really, when I watch it, I feel like they're in a real building, not a set. And just the way they kind of move around and the angles and stuff that they use, but the way it flows, like they're going room to room to room, or in that exercise scene room, they're not going room to room, but they are showing all these different angles of them doing this stuff. And that's why I was like, I wonder how many times they had to shoot that, and she had to give that monologue to get the different angles they were doing of the shots. But I like the way they film it, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know all the technical stuff,
I'm
but I really like
curious.
the
I'm curious. Do they shoot any of this on a set?
They do. I read it somewhere, and I can't remember exactly. It's the Gaslight. The Gaslight's a set. The external obviously isn't, but the external's in the East Village. But the actual indoor is a set. And I just looked it up. The garment shop scene is on West 19th Street, like right between 6th and 7th, which makes a lot of sense. I've walked down that street probably 6 or 700 times in my life.
My husband's office used to be right there, and he was just saying, yeah, I used to see them all the time when they were filming the first few seasons.
oh, fun.
And
That is
also,
a
too,
beautiful part of New York. Absolutely stunning architecture.
there was also like what they did with Friends. I think wasn't there a Marvelous Miss Maisel like thing that they did in New York where you
Oh,
could visit her whole
yeah,
set?
I went. I have really hilarious photos of myself in there. I'll post them at some point.
Yeah, the Paley Center did a really great exhibition on Maisel. And also Maisel, you know what's a really fun brand crossover? I'll have to post pictures of this, but we have a few, like two. So in my apartment, in the hallway, we have sort of like a bunch of shelves, and each shelf has a theme, or like it's mostly like utility stuff. So like one is for the dog, it's all of his like food and stuff. One is for books, and two of them are for Judaica. And I feel like every year Maxwell House or Amazon will like partner with a company that produces something, and we actually have the Maxwell House Haggadah for Passover. It's like the booklet.
Yes.
And then Maxwell House, for those of you who don't know, they famously would like give away like the free Haggadah with their coffee around Passover. So it's actually a very common Haggadah for people to have in American Jewish
Yep, every
households.
year
I
they have.
have a whole family set in my basement.
I have, so they produced the like traditional Maxwell House Haggadah, like they made it look so like retro, like it's from the 1950s, but it was pink and it was Maisel branded. We also have Marvelous Mrs. Maisel coconut macaroons produced by Manischewitz, and
Yep.
every year everyone like it's such a big thing to see what the next like Mrs. Maisel branded like Passover thing is going to be. So I've been collecting those over the years.
I'm heading over to the Red listening party, and for those of you who want to join, see you
Thank
over
you,
there.
everyone. I'll see you over there.
Thanks,
Thank
All
everyone.
you.
right.